Hey everyone, it's Aesah and welcome to my video for Renata Reroll. Renata Reroll is a comp that's been getting popular pretty recently. I would say around the time Macau happened, which was about a week ago, so it's pretty new. But it's been getting more popular. I think it's pretty tricky how to play this correctly. Honestly, even for me, I'm not extremely confident in the comp. Again, it's still pretty new, but what I will say is I think Singe 3 is very important. Basically, the comp revolves around Renata casting her shields, and those shields getting a ton of value because you have a Sentinel frontline. So the shields are kind of amplified by the high amount of resist they have. There's a couple versions of this you can play. You can play it with Chem Barons, where a lot of times you might go like Rennie plus Nunu to kind of link together Bruiser Visionary, and then like pivot out later. You would just keep three of them, and then like if you're on lost streak, you can put in more Chem Barons to stack it faster. I personally have not seen this to be that successful. I think like if you have the spot to play higher Chem Barons, a lot of times you'll just play more standard line. So that is an option if you do see it, but typically what you're going to want to do is, even though Renata is the main carry as a 2 cost, this is similar for those of you guys who played previous set, like the Ari Bastions comp, where you want to reroll 1 cost. Like you really want Singe 3. So you'll roll on level 4. You don't pump any levels. You'll roll on level 4 and 5. Um, Ideally a lot on 4-1 or on 3-1 at level 4. Sorry, and then you'll just want to play Visionaries and Sentinels. So Rel kind of links them together. She's one of each. And then your board on level 5 will usually either be 2 more Visionaries or 2 more Sentinels, depending on what you hit more. Typically, as a rule of thumb, Sentinels are better than Visionaries. So if you hit like an upgraded Aurelia and maybe like a Loris or a Leona here, you could go something like this. If you didn't hit these units, you can use the backline units. So you can use like Morgana and Vex. Either one, honestly. The trait breakpoints are in pairs, so you'll always want to play like either 4-2 or 2-4. You're not going to want to split like 3 and 3, right? Because then you're not getting as much value from your trait breakpoints. But yeah, to not get bench locked, a lot of times you'll only go for three stars at a time. For the 1 cost, you can buy more of them. So this would be Aurelia, basically all the 1 costs here. You could definitely buy more of these. But once you're close to getting some of them, don't be afraid to sell off others. If you are going for too many at a time, you're just going to get bench locked. Um, and you're always holding Renatas. So yeah, roll on level 5 until you have Singe 3. Singe 3 is really important. His ability gives Renata at 3-star is 160% attack speed when he casts. So a lot of the comp revolves around Singe kind of main tanking for you, giving Renata attack speed to help her cast more, Renata shielding Singe to help him cast more, and these two kind of just like enable each other a lot. Once you do have Singe 3, if you're kind of close to some of this other stuff, you can go for it. But if you're not that close, I would just go level 6 and then start rolling for your 2-star 3 cost, which would be Renata. You can go for Rel. Again, it's just like you kind of just have to decide if it's worth the gold. If you're very rich, you should go for them to cap out. If you're high rolling, if you're kind of low rolling, you might need to hit your primary units as fast as possible and skip the side grades. Between Morgana and Vex, Vex is a little bit better usually because eventually you'll want to play Alawi, which will give you Rebel for free. It's not super impactful, but it does give Alawi and Aurelia a little bit more max HP, so it's not nothing. Vex 3 also got a buff in this patch, so you could use her as a secondary carry as well. Again, normally you'll want to play more Sentinels and Rebels. If you could get to 6 Sentinel, that's going to be ideal, especially if you can find Rumble. Rumble's just the strongest unit here. Malzahar, of course, with the backline is going to be good. But yeah, basically roll on level 5 until you have Singe 3, roll level 6 until you have Renata 3. Item-wise, Renata, a lot of her values are the shield. If you look at the numbers, it actually doesn't look that much, but the shield actually hits your entire team. A lot of times you'll see people position Renata in the middle to kind of guarantee it does it. But you could just use one side as well. I would not position in kind of like a default way like this, because when you're doing this, Renata's going to target a unit across and she's not going to shield your whole team. So either in the middle, I would say middle is like a pretty good. She'll even shield the range units next to her, which can sometimes make the difference. Yeah, so a lot of times, something like this, units will walk up, or like enemy units will clump around. Because sorry, I got sidetracked there, but I was saying because so much of the values of the shield, items like Giant Slayer and like Jewel Gauntlet lose a lot of value because the damage amp and the crit do not affect the shield at all. So you really just want Archangels is really important because again, you're taking advantage of a high amount of Sentinels and Renata's shield. It's going to make the fight last a very long time. So the Archangel scaling is very, very good. Rageblade is not that good, just due to the way it scales compared to Archangels. So Nashers is going to be your next best item. You just want her to cast as often as possible. This is pretty much going to be your best slot. If you can't get exactly this, you can put like red buff on her. Again, like the damage amp is kind of wasted, but it's kind of a small portion of red buff. You could go like double Shojin. I'm gonna like move it later. You can go double Archangel. Death Cap, again, like Death Cap has some damage amp, which is gonna be wasted, but most of the value of the item is in the AP. So this is not gonna be like that great compared to Archangel, but you could use it in a pinch. For Frontline, Redemption is gonna be really good. Like we said, the fight's gonna last a really long time because of your Sentinels and Renata shielding. Redemption is pretty hard to make because it uses a tier, and you really want these two items. So yeah, Redemption is pretty hard to make, but it is your best slot frontline item. You always want some sort of anti-heal and some sort of magic shred, so Spark, Sapphire are both gonna be good, and otherwise, like frontline is usually just leftover items. Like Warmogs is gonna be probably the best item, but if you can't get exactly that, you could use Steadfast Heart, you could use Val, Declaw, Bramble, you could use any of these. But yeah, so anti-heal, magic shred, you're gonna look out for these. Best anomalies, you can go for tank anomaly on Singed. Again, this is kind of a stall comp. You really, really, really want Archangels, so you can stall and then scale into the fight. And by the end of the fight, your Renata is going to be extremely, extremely powerful. And she'll just like clean up at that point. So again, once again, you prefer Sentinels, but you can also go up in Visionaries as well. It kind of just depends on what you hit. For example, if you hit like a Heimer 2 and a Malzahar, you might want to play both of them, and then you might play like 6 Visionaries instead of 6 Sentinels. That's gonna wrap it up for this video on Renata Reroll. If you have any questions, let me know in the Discord. Thanks for watching.